4-year hiatus, the Detox Podcast is back for a reunion episode. I'm Alex Curry. We got Chris McGee, a.k.a. Geeter. Took a lot to get him here. We got Maddie, the new daddy, Matt Leinart, and the guest who never left, Richard Jefferson. You guys.
Guest that never left.
The guest that never left. That's what it was, the Summer of Rich. I love this so much.
The Summer of Rich. I remember that.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. It was great. Thanks, Geek. Thanks. I miss you guys.
You had won a championship. You had just gotten back, and it really was your summer.
Yeah, you guys introduced me to podcasting, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "I'll do this every day." And I was like, "I should go start a little podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should go start one." And then my life has forever changed.
So you're saying the Detox Podcast is the reason, and we inspired you to start road tripping?
1,000%, 100%. You guys inspired us to start road tripping.
Since we didn't have sports, we had The Last Dance, you guys, and it felt like Sunday night football. It literally felt like everyone sitting down and was a part of it. I'm rocking old school Bulls
shirt.
I am a what do you call it? Bandwagon fan now.
Bandwagoner.
Because I was too young. I didn't experience it step by step while it was actually happening. So millennials really got a taste and fell in love with Michael Jordan all over again. And I was in tears the first 10 minutes into episode 1, just like a weeping Jordan. I was like straight up crying Jordan, just like, I'm just so happy I'm getting to be a part of this now. So I want to know your thoughts on the full documentary and if you have a crazy Jordan story. Personally, have you all met him? I feel like you have, all of you.
Geeter does.
Geeter
does.
I got a good story.
We'll start with Geeter then. Go for it.
Are we talking? Do you want me to just tell the story, or do you want to talk documentary?
What do you want?
Both.
Tell me.
Okay,
come on,
man.
I first of all, I absolutely loved it. All 10 episodes. Couldn't wait for it. I feel like as much as I knew about that era and living it in real time, I still learned a ton. I love the stuff on Steve Kerr, who we all love.
I cried. I cried for Steve Kerr.
There are always going to be some questions like, where was Luke Longley? He was the third, fourth best player on the team. How could they go to Australia and talk to him? You wanted certain things maybe discussed a little bit more. But for me, like, it's the greatest documentary I've ever seen. So for me, to watch Jordan do it all again was great. My only Jordan story I have is pretty epic. Matt, you're probably going to be bummed on this. Texas is playing USC. Rose Bowl. Maddie's going for the 3-peat. I'm at the game with our good friend Matt Unger, and I have a ticket by myself. And I kid you not, I am the last row up. And if I looked over, there's nothing but cars. And I'm there, and kickoff's about to happen, and it happens. And Casey Jennings, married to Carrie Walsh, calls me, and he keeps calling me. He's like, "You got to come to the Gatorade Suite. I can get you in. Just trust me." So I run down. And he sees me, we meet, and he asks me to go like this. It's an invisible stamp. He goes, "Just go. Just put your hand on the thing, get in the elevator, and go. Trust me." So I go. I pretend I know what I'm doing. Get up there. I'm about to open the door to the suite. And it opens. And he goes, "Hey, I'm Michael." And I'm like, so I'm like, I don't even know what I said. He goes to the bathroom. I walk in. I'm like, oh, my God. Nomar and Mia are there. I did not know them at the time. I got to know them later. Holly McPeak, volleyball player, her husband Leonard, who I know. Leonard was my boss, the MVP. He's there. The Gatorade people are there. And I'm like, oh, my God. I'm looking at Carrie like, oh, my God. Charles Oakley's there with MJ. So MJ comes back. I'm getting hold of Luke, who's there, and Matt Unger, my friend. They both come up to the suite as well at halftime. So Luke's now in there. Magic comes in. Lance Armstrong comes in.
Barkley there?
Barkley.
Yeah.
Barkley comes in. They all come in to visit at halftime and then leave. So for the second half, Matt Unger's there with me, and the rest is that normal crew that I said. So MJ bets us. He's going for Texas. The whole game, he's like, "Vince is a problem. Vince is a problem. You guys know Vince is a problem." And we all wanted SC and Maddie. So I bet him $200. Maddie bets him $500. No. Here's another beautiful part. Nobody could drink vodka until the guys from the suites that run the suites went and got Grey Goose. There was no Grey Goose there. So we all had to drink other stuff until the Grey Goose came. And then MJ said, everyone's got to drink Grey Goose. So now we're drinking Grey Goose and we're going nuts. The game ends on that, Vince scores. Matt throws that one last bomb. It's over. And we're all just like greatest game ever. I'm devastated 'cause I'm such a huge SC football fan. And he looks at me and he goes, pay me my $200. Like, I thought maybe like he'd forget. Dude, I took out, this is so embarrassing. I took out a Velcro wallet. I had $200 in 20s. And I just, every cent, there was nothing left in my wallet. And then he looked at Matty O and goes, I'm coming for that 500. And Matty O had to pay him 500. And that's the last time and only time I ever saw Michael Jordan.
Okay, so that's, okay, so.
Epic.
That's so, okay, that's funny because my one and only Michael Jordan story, first, the documentary, just for me, the coolest part was watching with Cole and just explaining to him, like, this is why he was so great in this era of basketball. It was so, and for me, like 96, 7, and 8, I was, 13, 14, 15. So it was just cool to go back to those days and those memories. Okay, so my Michael story, literally, I think 2 nights after that game, Geet, me and teammates go to the Cabana Club in Hollywood. Yes. And I don't know if it was the weekend or not, whatever, but it was a couple nights later, we all go, there's like 10 of us, my brother's there, a couple other guys, and we're just getting boozed up, man. It's like the last game, whatever. And all of a sudden, Charles Oakley comes to our table and he goes, hey, Matt. And I knew who he was, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He's like, "Hey, MJ's over there. He wants to talk to you." So I was like, MJ, Michael Jordan. Okay. So I'm like, I get my brother. I'm like, "Ryan, dude, it's freaking Jordan. Let's go." And again, we just lost. I'm wasted. I go to the table, and I sit. It's just MJ and Oak goes there, and then maybe a security. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sitting at a table. I'm just sitting at a table with Michael Jordan, and he said, "Hey, you want a shot?" And I said, yeah, of course. And we're sipping on tequila, and he's just telling me about the game. He was at the game. He's like, dude, you're awesome. And it was like 10 minutes of like, dude, I couldn't believe this. And then my next memory of that is I woke up at the Peninsula Hotel by myself. I have no idea what happened. But I remember vividly Oakley coming over to me and say, MJ wants to talk to you. And I was just like, literally one of like the greatest 10 minutes of my life. I'll never forget.
You got summoned by the king.
Dude, he said, Jesus come over here. It was so cool, man.
It would have been so much cooler if you would have been like, nah, I'm good.
Can you imagine? Icing MJ like, nah, I'm good. That's chill.
Dude, it was so cool, man.
I'm good. I'll catch him next time, man. I'm just kind of hanging out with my guys, man. We had a rough night, a couple nights. I'm just going to hang out with my guys, man. Tell them next time. Right? Or you should be like, yeah, you tell him to come over here. No, Matt, so much of what you said is true, man. I think that the cool thing is like watching it with our kids. Like my boys love Michael Jordan because of Space Jam. Right. So like for them watching, cartoons and Space Jam is still right now, they're 3 and 5. It's their favorite movie because it's basketball and cartoons. You can't beat that. Mm-hmm. So they know Michael Jordan. Yeah. They know the shoes. They don't fully understand his greatness, but they love basketball. So it's always about that. So for them to sit down every Sunday, it would be like, you know what today is? Maybe like Michael Jordan documentary. It's like, yes, boys, we're going to sit and watch. Yes. They would watch about half of it. But I think the coolest thing about the documentary is it's given a blueprint. And you don't have to be like Michael Jordan. You don't have to be the same, that guy. But it gave the next 10, 20 years of athletes, of all sports, but especially basketball, it gave them the blueprint. Oh, you want to be great? Well, this is how hard you have to work. This is how much you have to sacrifice. This is how much there is no friends, there is no nothing. You need to go be great. You want to be like MJ, right? Yeah, but he also sacrificed a lot. So I think it's really a blueprint for future athletes, which it's like one of those things that Maddie, like, we wish we saw this at 15. Yeah, like I almost feel like if I would have watched it, like my life would have been different. Right. I would have been a better basketball player if I would have been like, no, MJ didn't do this, MJ didn't do that. And that's where I was super focused in on.
Hey, Rich. What was crazy, and I'm curious because you already knew this, and I knew it, but I didn't know it to what level, how much Kobe patterned everything after MJ.
What the fuck level did you not know that?
I knew it, but for sure. But like when you see all that behind the scenes footage, and then you start to put together how Kobe was, and you realize, and you get closer to the situation, like I have been now, and know way more about Kobe than I ever did. It's insane. How parallel they were.
And they were super parallel. I think this is the one thing that I think separated Jordan from a lot of the other people that were just, individual. Jordan was very charismatic. Jordan had an energy about him. Jordan, even when he was a lovable asshole. That means that like he would love on you. He would laugh with you.
You could see that too, for sure.
Jordan was like, no, don't just be here to be a part of this. You have to earn your way to be a part of this. And I'm going to test you and push you to make sure that when we need you, you're going to be there to be counted on. So, MJ was always difficult, but I'll tell you this, he was just like you guys, everybody's experience with MJ is that he is still like the life of the party. He still wants to take shots with everybody. That was something that like, okay, he's a dick to me 9 times out of 10, but the one time, like, he's like, yo, let's go. Hey, come on, you're with me. We're smoking cigars. We're going to go play golf. We're going to, and it's like, it's a memory. He knows what those memories mean. He knows that by calling you over, Matt, he knows this. He's self-aware that by calling you over, like that's changed your life. By being nice to you, Geet, and friends, but that's his personality. But he's self-aware. He's like, what would be a cool thing if Matt Leinart, the kid that just lost, if I called him over and say, hey, let's take some shots. He knows that that's a fucking memory that you will cherish for the rest of your life, right? And so he goes out of his way to give people those memories and those moments with Jordan, which I think makes him like on that extra level.
Hey, RJ, man, it's true too. Like, you look at Tiger, I mean, the guys of our generation, Tiger, Kobe, MJ, it's lonely at the top. Derek Jeter. It's lonely at the top, right? Like, you got to sacrifice.
Have a lot.
Like you said, bro, man, friends and family, and it's a lonely, and you can't go out. People, I mean, you were there when Geeter was killing it, like, in New York. Like, you can't just go out and be you. Like,
no,
people
there is not.
bomb on you, attack you.
So, I just think, I don't know. I just think it was such a cool, the way they did it. They didn't just do the last dance, the way they tied it again. Yes, it was, some people were like, well, it's a little all over the place, but this was a good introduction for like, if you knew nothing about it, it might've felt a little bit more all over the place. If you knew a little bit, then you were like, oh, okay,
100%.
They're tying everything together and they're bringing it to meet in the middle. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I love, like, he lived his life kind of like my motto, work hard, play hard. Like, he did what he wanted to do. He put in the work, but then he also had fun. And I loved how much not only him, but Phil also understood the dynamic of the team and like how you had to let people be yourself. With Rodman and Jordan, like, he got to go let loose. He's going to go have a night. He's smoking cigars. He's having his drink literally as he's doing the interview and every, like, it was incredible.
I knew about the Vegas trip. I forgot about the WWF one in the middle of the finals. In the finals, I did not know that. I forgot about that one. I don't remember that one.
I told Cole like Rodman was a straight savage. He didn't even care.
Savage.
Right before a game, and then go get 20 boards.
20 boards and win that game with that weird shot. And he just went like this and hits the free throws. And he had 25 rebounds, 16 of them offensive. I mean, you kidding me, dude?
Yeah, dude, he was next.
That was a different era, man.
Man, he was.
That was so cool.
Crazy how Rich. You know what I forgot? Because it's weird. Like, I remember them beating Phoenix, as you probably remember more than anybody, living there. Like, dude, he was exhausted after that third one. You could just, and then that next year, his dad, man, he was done for a bit.
Yeah, he needed to. He recharged. That's why I don't think they would have won 8. I do believe that they could have won. I don't think they would have won 8 in a row, but I do believe when he said they could have won that 7th. They could have won one more. I believe they could have.
I'm with you.
And that's the thing. It's like, dude, like, they were going to have to, they didn't want to. It was about the money for them. And one thing that was also talked about, like season ticket sales, in order for Jordans, and this is one of the things that Reinsdorf and them, like, they were preparing for this. They made everyone, you had to renew for 3 years if you were going to get Jordans last year. Right? Ooh. So they knew that they were going to get 2 years of sold out revenue, because they were like, well, we're going to rebuild, but we're going to make sold out. So even if it takes us 2 or 3 years to rebuild, like, we're sold out for the next 2 years. Yes. So it was like they were preparing. That's why MJ was like, I've never talked to them. They can say that the reason why they asked Phil to come back one more year, they did all this other stuff. At the end of the day, they were preparing for this and they were trying to push the guys out. And like, it just wasn't a good environment.
Still rebuilding.
I love how bitter he is. I love how bitter Michael Jordan still is.
Does that surprise
about
anybody?
everything and everybody.
The George Karl thing was my favorite thing. He was so pissed at George before the Seattle series. Just George didn't come over to talk to him, and they're both Carolina guys. They played golf together. Dean Smith, the whole deal. And then George Karl goes on Van Pelt that night and goes, "Are you kidding me? He would have found something wrong. If I would have went over there and talked to him, that would have been a weakness, or I didn't pay for dinner. He would have found something." That was MJ. He would have found a way to be pissed.
And that's true. And that's true. That's true.
It's true.
Michael makes these things up in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to come say stuff?
It's so good. Before we end, Rich, do you have a story you want to share? Do you have one? Are you allowed to share it?
I'm trying to think.
You can say pass.
No. This MJ, man. Everyone has their MJ story, man. He's just such a legend, right? Like I was a part of those like Santa Barbara basketball camps, and this is one story about him being self-aware, which I just found so funny. But I just played against him, worked his basketball camp, hung out with him. When I got drafted, he had just taken over the position at the Wizards. So like interview with him, but he sat in the office with us and told us stories for like 2 hours. And you're just like, this dude's awesome. But I remember we were sitting there at the basketball camp. And so after all the campers leave, we just play. And then after we play, like the counselors, which are typically like high school or college All-Americans, once we play, we all kind of sit down, ice up, drink it, just tells us stories. So I feel like the night before the guys had gone out, and he looked at this dude, I forgot his name, and he looked at him, he's like, "Man, that girl you were with last night was pretty bad, right?" And everyone kind of looked at him, and he's like, yeah. And so he tried to swag Jordan. He's like, "Man, that was nothing, man. You should see some of my other ones." All right? So he tried to swag Jordan, and Jordan played him like this. He's like, "Now listen, I gave you a compliment. Don't go running with it." And I just sat there just like Jordan gave him a compliment and then checked him 8 seconds later when he tried to run with the compliment. He's like, "Yo, I gave you a compliment now. Don't go running with it." He's like, "Oh, okay, no, I'm just saying." He's just like, "Yeah, I gave you a compliment." And so I was like, that to me, just to be self-aware. It's like, hey, look, I know I'm Michael Jordan, and I just gave you a compliment and told you that the girl last night that you were with was pretty. Like, take that compliment and go tell your friends. Like, don't try and swag me. Don't try and jump on. Don't try and add more. Don't try and do that. Just take the compliment and go tell your friends. And that to me just showed he was a next level boss. He just understood who he was.
Our back.
That was fun, guys.
That felt so good to get back together.
That was fun.
That was great.
I miss you guys.
Chemistry's still strong, guys.
I miss you guys so much. I miss you guys. Maddie, man, that's a beautiful child you have there, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you, man. I can't wait to see Cole. And whenever you want me to give Cole some lessons, man,
honestly,
take him out in the backyard.
When you're back in town.
Court?
Yeah, we got a full court,
right?
Or a half court.
Yeah. Dude, Lil Rich would lose it.
We got a swimming pool, everything. Come over and
dude. I'll play a little one-on-one with Cole. Give him some.
He might beat you in horse though.
I don't doubt that he probably will. I have not done anything competitive with a basketball in years. Since I retired is the last time I did anything competitive.
Oh, it's good to see.
I would
you
love
guys.
it. We'll place bets. We'll place bets on who's gonna win, Cole or Rich.
Can't wait to see you guys when we can actually.
Air hugs. Air hugs, everybody.
Love you
I
guys.
love you all.
Guys.
Open Soho.
Peace.
And